You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
I'm looking forward today to our Motivation and Mindset Monday show. We've got a great one for you today. And the reason why I like this show topic so much is that it really turns the whole thing of routine versus discipline versus motivation upside down on its head. Because I know there's a lot of people out there right now telling you that you need to develop discipline. You need to really learn self-motivation, learn how to act, all these specific types of things. And I get it. And it's because those actions, that discipline actually gets you the end result. Because nobody wants the motivation. Nobody wants the discipline. They want the end result of that. They want whatever that goal is, because that goal, they believe, ultimately it comes down to that goal, whatever it might be, whether it's the money, the relationship, the health, the weight loss, leads to happiness, right? So it's the end goal is feeling loved, or the end goal is looking at that happiness, or it's moving away from something that you don't like. But of course, again, it's always saying how can I get more out of this life? How can I be happier? Because right now, what I'm doing isn't working. I'm struggling. I'm not happy. I'm in a bad place. And we've all been there. There's no doubt about it. I lived in that place. I honestly lived in that place until I would say mid-20s. Honestly, mid-20s, and I started to then pull myself out of it. And I only pulled myself out of it for a very specific reason, is that I understood that whatever I was looking for, this happiness equation, right, is that it didn't exist necessarily way out there. It wasn't something that if I really found the end of that rainbow, I would find happiness sitting there. And one of the reasons why I found that is that I tried so many different things to be happy, to become happier, to live a better life. And I just knew that, okay, well, I'm trying all these things, and at the end of the day, sure, I get some days, weeks, or maybe a month worth of happiness, just feeling more high on life. But it always faded. And one of the reasons why it did always fade is that I was trying to rely always and every single day on this intrinsic discipline, this intrinsic motivation, all of these different things, because people had told me, you need to develop discipline. You need to do this, this, and this. And I understood that because, on my path to getting well, I had to always make sure that I took the nutritional supplements, that I was always eating better, that I was saying no to going out late at night, all these specific things. So I understood that took some discipline, but that's not what it was about. So out there right now, there's this myth that the most successful people in life are just really disciplined. And I would disagree. And I'll tell you why. Over the past decade, I've had the pleasure, and longer than that, of course, it's been well over a decade, but over the past, let's say 15 years or so, I've had the pleasure of working with some of the most successful philanthropists, nonprofit organizers, CEOs, investors, and businessmen and women all over the world. Literally, I've worked with the best of the best. And as I was working as their concierge doctor, and even before that as their nutritional specialist, their whatever it might be, I realized I was helping them, right? So I was helping them to really reach their peak physique. I would work with Hollywood celebrities. When they would come in town to Boston, I would work with whoever the celebrity was, whoever the movie director was, whoever these people are. They came to me. I would work with the athletes. I would work with all these people, okay? But at the same time I was helping them, they were helping me because I was studying them. I was saying, what makes this person so successful? I know they're driven. I know they have the drive. I know they have the discipline. But again, I know that comes and goes. That's basically waxes and wanes. So as I was helping them, I was studying what was going on in their life. What were they doing? And I realized there were some things that they needed to improve, and that's what I improved with them. But what I realized was it wasn't the discipline. It wasn't the motivation. It was the daily routine. They did the same thing every single day. And for the people who weren't self-motivated enough, because believe me, there's a lot of people out there who are not, they had a business manager that made them stay on track to that same daily routine. And I know this might sound boring for a second, but it's not. Believe me, like the idea of a routine is not boring. It honestly isn't. I'm going to tell you why in just one moment. So here's the thing. You can grow tired of discipline. You can grow tired of being motivated. We all do. Like, let's just say I have two young girls. Let's just say they're not feeling well. Like just about a week ago, one of my daughters, my oldest daughter, never sick to her stomach, never threw up once, nothing like that. My youngest daughter, she's 2, turning 3. She got some type of stomach-based issue. And she was throwing up every hour and a half through the night. And it was brutal. My wife and I basically didn't sleep that night. She threw up on herself. We had to put her in the bathtub. We had to change her clothes. It was a night of no sleep, okay? That next day, do you think I was self-motivated? Do you think I had the energy to do, that many things? That's not the case. So I'm going to share with you in just a moment why I was still able to get through the next day and still have the productivity that I needed. So here's the thing. What you need to do is the system that I created. And again, I created this by studying other people. Anything I've achieved in life, it's simply by looking outside of myself, studying success. All right? It's honestly, you can do anything that you want with your body. You can do anything that you want with your brain. You can do anything that you want with your life. And that's almost without exception. The only exceptions are congenital-based issues, meaning like the people who are literally born with some type of congenital issue. And it's, again, that's why 95% of all health or disease is created by diet and environment, the lifestyle that you live. And it's not an easy pill to swallow in the beginning. It wasn't for me. And it took years for me to say, okay, I agree with it now. I need to change certain things. But really, what we need to do is, and I'll pull myself back to the same top myself, is create a routine so that you're on autopilot. That's really it. You need to put your life on autopilot. And so what does that even mean? Well, it means that you don't even want to think about your day. You don't want to think about being disciplined. I don't want to have to think about being disciplined. I don't have to think about everything that goes on in my life. There's a lot of moving parts. What I want to do is I want to create a routine for when I wake up in the morning, another one for breakfast, another one mid-morning, another one at lunch, another one mid-afternoon, another one for dinner, and then another one after dinner for before bed. That's it. And those are the routines that I have. I've developed, and if you've listened back on my previous Motivation and Mindset Mondays, I've developed a very, what people will call disciplined life, but it's not. It takes me no effort. It honestly does not, because I have my little to-do list. And again, if you listened before, you know to make out a to-do list the night before, but I have a regimen, which is the same thing as basically saying a routine. I wake up in the morning before the rest of the world for a reason. I need that me time, which I highly recommend for every human. You need at least a half hour that's your time so that you can ease into the day. If you start your day with your kids or your spouse or the rush hour traffic eating away at you first thing in the day, you never catch up. It's impossible because you're just beaten down. I mean, that's the truth. You're just worn down. So if I can start my day, I can breathe, I can relax into the day, I can just ease into it, then I'm prepared for everyone else's demands on me. But also I make sure that I have a good, healthy breakfast. I talk about that all the time. I do my smoothie. I might do some oatmeal with it. I do something that's going to fuel this body and brain to get the most out of it for the day. If I have a bagel, if I have bread, if I have whatever, I'm going to feel terrible. I'm going to feel great while I eat it because it's delicious. And then I'm going to crash an hour or 2 hours later. And then I'm going to look to something else with sugar or processed food or coffee. And then I'll crash again. So that's not how you have to start your day. If you want to maximize your day, if you want to maximize your output, then you need to start your day with brain and body food. That's really what it's all about. Okay, so I'm not going to get into that right now. We're talking about the routine, why it's so important. And again, you might sound like, oh, well, this is taking all the spontaneity, all the excitement out of the day. Believe me, spontaneity and excitement are not that exciting. They lead to stress. It's because your body craves routine. It craves knowing what's going to come next. And that's the thing, really the excitement that you're thinking about, what am I going to do today for lunch? Okay, well, that's totally fine. That's still just part of your lunch routine. I don't have written down every day, oh, this is good. It's going to be this meal. I only do that when you're trying to achieve a certain body transformation or health-based regimen, and I work with people on that, but that's still only for 12 to 16 weeks. So within this protocol, there's room for spontaneity, but you have to have blocks in your life where you achieve certain things. Meaning, like, if you want to get in great shape, you need to prioritize. Your before the day or your afternoon lunch should now be dedicated Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to going to the gym. And if that's not motivating enough, join a class, do a spin class, do something that is then part of your routine. If you know that all your coworkers go out for pizza every day at lunch, well, you are not going to go out for pizza, or you're certainly going to find a place that does pizza and salads, and you will get yourself a salad instead of pizza. But these are the types of things that just become part of your routine. Why? Is because successful people have a routine. And the only reason they're successful is because they do the same thing day in and day out. Because no one becomes successful overnight. That is a lie. It takes months and years to truly achieve the lifestyle that you want and desire. And again, does that sound like maybe a long time? Yes. And good thing is I'm not a marketer, so I don't have to lie to you, because the truth is that you can have everything that you want in life. You truly can. And I honestly believe that. And I want that for you, but only if you set in the routine that successful people do. People ask me all the time. I get this on Ask Cabral all the time. How do you write books, do a daily podcast, run 2 practices, see private clients, have a family, have 2 young daughters, do all these things? Like, how do you have that time? Honestly, I have the same time as anyone else. All I do is I just have a routine. I just work my routine. And if it ever becomes too much, I then create a different routine, which is better systematized. That's what I do. And I'm not the best of the best. I'm really not. I think I have my life down pat. Like, I enjoy my life. I get a lot out of it. I really am very, very happy. But there are other people who have different routines than me. They do even more than me. I mean, if you look at Richard Branson from the Virgin companies, right? He has 300 companies. Like, that to me is, how do you run 300 companies? Like, what do you possibly do? That to me is unfathomable. He owns an island, so like, there are other people, there are levels to this, of course. I just have what I want in my life, and you only have to set up what you want in your life. That's the thing. And then also, I do have the spontaneity on Saturdays and Sundays, meaning like Monday through Friday, regimented. Saturdays and Sundays, I still get up before the rest of the world because I love that. That's my time. No one can take that. That's my time. It's quiet. And then also, I have my breakfast routine still. So if we go out to brunch, if we do those types of things, I still do my smoothie. It's my anchor. It's what keeps me healthy. It's what sets me up for the rest of the day. It really does. But then after that, like after 8 a.m. or 7:30 a.m. or so, that is my family's time. I mean, it's my family's time when I get home at night as well with dinner and all that. But on Saturdays and Sundays, that's all family time. It really is. Now, will I check in with a manager at work? Will I check in with different things? Sure. But I don't answer email on the weekend, and it's my family's time. That's part of my routine. And some people get mad. They say, oh, how come you didn't answer my question on Saturday at 10 a.m.? Because my daughters and my wife are just as important as my work. And I have to prioritize. And you're going to have to create your routine as well. People will always be mad at you. You can't make everyone happy. I try. I honestly try. I mean, I really, really do. But I've come to realize that no matter how hard I try, even if I work 24 hours a day, someone would still be upset. And that's just part of life, because we only see things for the most part from our subjective viewpoint. And again, that's not a bad thing. I have my own subjective viewpoint, and I get upset sometimes when I see people doing things in a certain way, but I understand that that's also their life, or it's their business, and they have to run it the best way that they see fit. So my recommendation today is if this is brand new to you, let's say that you haven't tuned into the Cabral concept before, you haven't listened to the previous Mindset Motivation Mondays, which I highly recommend, is I want you to do this. I want you to think about setting up a morning routine for yourself. Okay. So I want you to wake up a half hour earlier, but you might be saying to yourself, but I already only get 6.5, 7 hours sleep. Well, here's the thing. You need to go to bed a half hour earlier. And that might take a week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, but you can get into that routine. And once you do and you get that half hour back, you're like, well, what am I supposed to do with this half hour? Well, that first half hour then is to plan and visualize the day ahead. It's to read something motivating to get your mind in the right place. Or if you don't like to read, listen to a podcast. That's totally fine. But do it educational based. It has to be something that's going to move your life forward. Because again, when we talk about these things like routine and motivation, I'll recap that at the end. Let me finish with the morning routine. So you're gonna wake up that half hour earlier. You're gonna shower. You're gonna get ready for the day. You're gonna invigorate your body. Then you're gonna make that smoothie. or you're going to do a breakfast that's nourishing for you. Okay? You're going to give your body like something like the daily fruit and vegetable blend, or use the daily nutritional support powder as well. Get the best of functional medicine, get the best of whole foods, invigorate your body and mind. You don't stand a chance if your body's malnourished. Okay? You just don't. Your body is a chemistry set of neurotransmitters, vitamins, minerals, bacteria. Like, you need to fuel the vehicle which pushes you through life. Okay? That's the brain and the body. But the body is such a huge factor in how it affects the brain. Get that part of your day right. Work your to-do list. Create the morning routine first, then start to work it after that. All right? Then start to work the rest of the day, step by step after that. And then why do we do this? This is what I wanted to end with. Why are we doing all this in general? Here's the thing. We all have our own life to live. But the happiness, as I was talking about at the very beginning, does not come from outside of you. And this was reinforced when I traveled all over the world. I met with the best of the best. I studied with the best clinics, the best doctors, the best all of that. That was so that I would learn from the masters, so that I would then be able to take this back to the US, and I would be able to then preach this message to the entire world. And this is what I found out. There were so many people when I was in India, especially the north of India, in the Himalayas, and they were looking for a guru. They were studying in ashrams. And again, I'm not against this, and I recommend it. I think it's great. But what happens is this, is happiness will never be found through a guru. It will never be found through a podcast or through a book. Those things lead you to happiness, but only because they teach you how to discover it within yourself. You are the only blockage, or you are the only shepherd that will bring you towards that happiness, that will draw it out of you. And the only way that you can do that, I honestly believe, is by living a life of purpose, by being fulfilled. And you become fulfilled by doing things that you feel matter. And that can be raising a family, that can be job, that can be career, that can be relationship, that can be nonprofit, that can be any of these things. That is literally it. When you feel like you are literally living on purpose, that's when you find that happiness. And the way to do that, the way to achieve those things, is daily consistency. And the only way to be consistent, literally the only way to be consistent, is to have a routine. Because motivation will eventually fail you. Discipline will fail you. All of these things. Yes, discipline makes you follow the routine. Yes, but if you just put it on autopilot and you just move through that daily to-do list, and you just wake up when the alarm wakes you up, you go to bed when you're supposed to go to bed, by doing those things, one day passes, a week passes, a month passes, a year passes, 2 years pass. You look back and you can't even imagine what you've achieved up to that point. And the reason you did it was because you created a daily routine. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into another Cabral Concept. I truly appreciate each and every one of your listens, and I hope that you do share this show with as many people as you feel it will help. Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp parts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to stephencabral.com/resources.